I want to talk to you today about what I eat in an average day. So when I go for a food shop, typically I try to stop buying sugary things, junk foods. Processed stuff is particularly bad, so you want to keep that completely out of your shop. If it's not there in your house, you're less likely to binge on it. You're less likely to feel like crap when you do eat those foods. So if you don't buy them in the first place, you're not going to suffer those effects. So make sure when you go for a food shop, you just have a list down there and you get the basic stuff, get the basic foods. That's all you really need to live on. But people with ADHD are even more likely to suffer health effects mentally if we don't supply our brains with the correct foods to begin with. People with ADHD like to have novelty, right? We get bored with routine too much. So I think it's important to keep your diet interesting, but make sure that it's good quality. So that's the main thing you want to keep.
So to begin, I'd have to recommend free-range eggs. This is one of my top go-to foods because they're extremely nutrient dense, and it's well documented that they're packed with omega-3 and it's incredible for brain function. And this is something that I'd have typically for breakfast, just to have a very high protein diet. So I got some bacon, I got about 4 rashers and 5 eggs here, so it's very rich in protein, and it's cooked in coconut oil, so it's a pretty healthy source of fat to cook in. Also getting quite into my natural yogurt at the moment with some fresh blueberries. That's pretty good for dessert, and it's very low in sugar. It's only got naturally occurring sugars, and even that's quite low. So I'm just going to put some of this natural yogurt in. Extra virgin coconut oil is usually expensive, but you can buy cheaper alternatives like this one. I have about a teaspoon a day, and the thing about coconut oil is that it's a naturally derived one. It's it's not sort of high heat compressed, so it doesn't form trans fats. Another healthy fat you can incorporate into diet is some organic grass-fed butter. And I also like to get some nuts into my diet, just because the good healthy fats in there, meant to be good for your brain. Now onto the carbohydrate sources. I'm just cooking some quinoa here. If you have to have some sweet foods, then I'd recommend just have some fruit occasionally. Don't have it every day, there's no need for that. These are sort of high sugar fruits, so be careful of that, It's good for immediate concentration if you just need a quick kick for any tasks that require concentration. I'm a big advocate of carbs that have a low glycemic index, and these are usually lower in starch. Whole grains from sources like brown rice is an excellent way to get enough fibre, and by nature they spike your insulin less and they fill you up without causing a typical brain fog that you get from refined white bread and pasta, etc. Currently drinking some green tea as well, and it's very good for the brain. It's got properties, including caffeine obviously, but it's got properties in the leaves that has high in theanine. Some grass-fed organic butter melted onto salmon fillets, which is absolutely packed with polyunsaturated fatty acids and amino acids. Fantastic for your working memory and really good for ADHD symptoms. I just want to show you into my garden to see certain things that I'm growing. I think it's really beneficial to have your own foods, things like that, because it's just fresher. So I mean, if you grow it yourself, you know exactly what you get, right? So that's the important thing. With supermarket foods, you don't know what kind of pesticides are being grown. Use your own soil, stuff like that. It's going to be a lot cleaner. Just show you some of the broccoli I'm growing in my greenhouse at the moment. Now I typically eat a low-carb diet, and the reason why I do that is because I believe that the wrong types of carbohydrates can definitely exacerbate ADHD problems, and I think that it's the naturally occurring sugars that can agitate the brain, because I think there's a lot of people that have issues with gluten as well. Maybe going vegan at some point might have increased my food intolerance, because I noticed that after going vegan for a year, I think my food sensitivity got bad, and I noticed I was quite sensitive to fibre, had a lot of bloating and gas. The guys, I'm not here to tell you what you should and shouldn't eat. I'm helping you to make a decision on what to eat yourself. So do your own research
and listen to your body, see how you react to it. It's up to you what kind of diet you eat. I don't want to tell you that, oh, you should approach this diet, you should have keto diet, you should have a carnivore diet, you should go vegan. But I'm saying, I mean, low carb has worked for me. It's done wonders, because I feel like I have more energy, because most of my energy is coming from fats and proteins. There's obviously a lot of speculation about that, because a lot of people think things like Atkins and keto is bad for you. And the thing is, guys, we don't really know. We don't really know what's best for us. So I think as long as you're eating whole foods, natural, organic foods is what's going to make you healthier. This is what's going to help your brain the most, right? I think personally you can't go wrong with a balanced diet of clean whole foods. I think you can't go wrong with whole grains, vegetables, meats, healthy fats. Typically that's the standard recommended diet by most nutritionists. You're going to find that some foods disagree with you and other foods work for you. Everyone is different. It's impossible to say what's going to work for your body as opposed to mine or somebody else's. Put your health first. Given that everyone has a certain agenda about things, they want to believe certain things, it's going to make things a lot harder to actually distinguish what the best approach is, especially when it comes to things like ADHD. Obviously, I think the rule of thumb is the healthier the better. I really do think that you're better off just like buying farm-grown foods. Now, obviously, not everyone can afford it. Just do what you can. So I'd be very interested to know, what kind of foods do you eat? What diet works for you? Are there any particular foods that aggravate your ADHD more? And do you find that certain food types alleviate the symptoms? Do you find that avoiding certain foods helps your symptoms? And just a disclaimer, guys, you might want to go to your doctor and your nutritionalist advisor. Take my advice with a grain of salt, because I'm no expert. I'm just giving you anecdotal advice about what's working for me. So best of luck, and I hope you find something that helps you to concentrate better. See you next time, guys. Bye-bye.